Google CEO Sundar Pichai goes before Congress in December, testifies under oath that the algorithms are politically unbiased. Now, you work on data sets that feed certain algorithms at Google. Based upon what you know and what you've observed, are Google's algorithms unbiased?
Well, first of all, I report to Sundar, of course, and I have a great deal of respect for him as a manager. I work on the Google Assistant, which really doesn't have a political bias. I think it's, ridiculous to say that there's no bias. I think everyone who supports anything other than the Democrats, anyone who's pro-Trump or in any way deviates from what CNN and the New York Times are pushing, notices how bad it is. I think maybe in his mind he can justify it through some redefinition of what the word political is. But I think if you look every day and with every query for, say, for example, Donald Trump, Google News is really an aggregator of just a handful of sites, and all of those sites, really are vitriolically against President Trump, which I would really consider to be, interference in the American election.
And the Google CEO did testify under oath that Google's algorithms are politically unbiased. Was he lying?
I mean, lying is a strong word. I definitely don't think it's true. I think what they do is somehow put an extreme bias on certain sites. Like, for example, CNN is the most commonly used source in Google News. 20% of all searches for Donald Trump, all results for Donald Trump are from CNN. And when that's the entire internet of millions of sites. CNN is something that Donald Trump and a lot of his supporters, I think, would call very fake news. So one has to wonder how it really got to be that way. I think as the election started to ramp up, the angle that the Democrats and the media took was that anyone who liked Donald Trump was a racist, even a Nazi. And that got picked up everywhere. I mean, every tech company, everybody in New York, everybody in the field of computer science basically believed that. A small number of people do work on making sure that certain news sites are promoted. And in fact, I think it would only take a couple out of an organization of 100,000, to make sure that the product is a certain way. Yeah, but actually, on a day-to-day basis, I think probably a lot of people know that I like Donald Trump and they don't really care. The way that Google works, the way the Democrats work, the way all their allies in the media work, they really don't want a lot of questioning of anything. They really just want to call people names to get them to toe a certain line. And I think it's a harmful, dark view of society, and I would like to see tech that just supports human freedom, free thought. Well, I think we had a long period of 10 years, let's say, where we had search and social media that didn't have a political bias. And we kind of got used to the idea that the top search result at Google is probably the answer. And Robert Epstein, who testified before Congress last week, looked into it and showed that, the vast majority of people think that if something is higher rated on Google search than another story, that it would be more important and more correct. And, we haven't had time to absorb the fact that tech might have an agenda. I mean, it's something that we're only starting to talk about now. That's why I'm talking to you. But in any event, most people's job is not political and doesn't involve politics. I mean, there's a vast number of systems, and a lot of them have nothing to do with politics, like processing natural language. Well, I think we're just at a really, important point in human history. I think for a while we had tech that was politically neutral. Now we have tech that really, first of all, is taking sides. in a political contest, which I think, anytime you have big corporate power merging with political parties, it can be dangerous. And I think more generally, we have to just decide now that we kind of are seeing tech use its power to manipulate people. It's a time to decide, do we run the technology? Does the technology run us? I think the big problem that we have today is there's an ambiguity about whether tech is neutral or whether it's biased. And, I think as someone with a PhD in computer science and 5 years of working at one of the world's top computer science companies, I don't see any doubt that it's very politically biased. And I know not everybody is a programmer, so I just kind of want to explain it to the non-programmers. Just the same way that, someone who doesn't know about wine might need to be told by a sommelier, or the way someone who doesn't know about cars might need to be told by a mechanic what's really going on. I just want to say to all the non-programmers that I really don't buy the idea that big tech is politically neutral, and I think we need to start incorporating that into whatever strategy we use to have a democracy going forward. Are we going to continue to have elections that mean anything? Are we going to continue to think for ourselves, or are we going to just let the biggest tech companies decide who wins every election from now on?